Right, you guys. Well, I just want to welcome you to our last training session here in the DRA. And week 6 is really all about working with your team members toward a rank promotion. So, what I would like to do is before we get started, and I know there's a couple of you here, and I'm sure there's a few more that are going to be watching the replay. But I would love to know really what you maybe is what has been the most valuable for you in this 90-day period of training. And you could talk really about anything, but I'd sure love to hear from you guys before we dig in. Who wants to go?
I would say the fact that all of this is recorded, that we have it for lifetime, because I had, major life events that don't
Sure,
happen every day. And I'm thankful that I can go back when time is right and really feel like I can put all this to good use and not, like I blew money on something I wasn't able to participate in. So
sure.
thank you.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, thank you. All right. Marlene.
Hi.
Hey, lady.
Hi. Sorry I missed last week. Totally forgot the day was Wednesday. And I'm like, wow, this is our last one. Oh my goodness. I like how simple and all the tools that you provide. And not that you just provided the tools to us, but you reiterate every single time to use these tools with our teammates.
Mm-hmm.
And so the last couple of weeks, I rank advanced. And yes, I have a new team member that she
Yeah.
last night she was like 4% away from rank advancing, and we were on the phone with her and a new one of her new potential customers, and they're just so excited. And so for me to be able to show up as the leader that I am, being more organized,
Mm-hmm.
it it is so beneficial. And I know that it's just going to spread as as people are coming on board and being able to for them to use the tools as well. So
Right.
thank you from all of my heart. And I have been network marketing, um, I've been doing it for a long time. That I didn't know that Tupperware was a network marketing company when I was 23 years old. And I was number one in Arizona when I did that way back when. But 11 years ago, right after I closed the stores, I was doing it. And fighting through the nose and not really knowing what I was doing and didn't have the leadership. But when I was told, hey, there's a trip that you can earn, I'm like, dude, there's a trip I can earn. Let me do this. Let me break it down how I know as a business person on how to reverse engineer it. And I did it, but not getting the support. And I know, right? I know it's crazy.
Yeah, I love that.
Thank
Well,
you.
one of the things you guys I told you from the very beginning of this course is when in network marketing, when you can master recruiting, okay, and then guide a team member in an efficient way. No, but when you can guide a team member through their challenge and, just like in that coaching that you guys learn, if you can master those two skills, you can build to the top of any company and create six figures. If you do these things consistently, you will. You will. And that is the beauty. And I love also that Angie said, hey, we can go back because you guys might have a time where you're like, okay, I want to remember this. And then you can go and you can look in your back office and you can go listen to that kind of thing again or, redo it yourself as even a class, right? So I love that. And congratulations, Marlene, on rank advancing. Ironically, we're going to be talking exactly about that today. and how I set people up for success like that. And I think you guys will really like it. Laureen, do you have anything you wanted to share?
Uh, I'm in the same boat as Angie. It's like I've never started. So for whatever reason, but I am running two jobs and I'm in flux in both of them. So it's not an excuse, it's just real life.
Yeah.
And I still cannot give up on the fact that I am a woman. I can do anything, but I can't do everything at one time. So I've
Yeah.
got to parcel it out in my day and start saying no to the things that are not going to advance me.
Yeah. And sometimes that isn't always easy to prioritize those things. And in fact, nowadays, I'm just going to say this, we see all these ads, you guys, I know you see them too, where you look at, back in the 50s where it was the dad was working, the mom was stay at home, she did the dinners and the kids went to school. The bus was right out front and it just seemed fairly simple. You know, many things have changed since then to the point of many women not only are working, but they're working two and three jobs at a time. And so I can relate to what you're saying, Laureen, about just really kind of prioritizing. Okay, it's either prioritizing today, what do I need to get done that's going to advance blank business forward? It's time blocking, keeping our commitments in time blocks, which I'm just going to say it's not easy for most people that work from home or that work remotely because sometimes it's a little challenging to discipline ourselves and we can tend to procrastinate. Um, and sometimes the God's honest truth is, some of us just aren't the best at managing ourselves, and I'm not trying to say, Lorraine, that you are or aren't. It's just when we have so many things going on, it is a challenge to prioritize. And what I do want to commend you for is you have shown up for the majority of all the calls. And there's a lot to be said for that too, getting it live and hearing it.
And I have to say, this thing and the thing that we're on are
Yeah,
the worst offenders of interrupting your time.
I agree.
And then I have okay, yesterday was my 62nd anniversary.
Oh, happy
And I'm
anniversary.
married. I mean, my last name is Breitkreutz, so I'm married to a German, and I just assume that they're all this way. Whenever there is a new event that comes up, it has to be taken care of this minute. And
Well,
unfortunately, most of those events fall on my shoulders, not his.
right.
So I've decided that I'm sorry to share this, but I think
No.
it's funny. But he can't do this, he can't do that, he can't go anywhere, he can't stop and get a loaf of bread on the way home because it's located too far in the store
Yeah.
for him to walk. And he does have trouble walking or standing for long periods of time. So the other day, something came up that one of his prescriptions was ready.
Oh,
And he
yeah.
said, "Can you stop and get it?" And I'm thinking, stop and get it from where? I'm not going in that direction. It's a special trip. Minimum, it would be 40 minutes.
Oh,
Okay.
boy.
So it's not just the 40 minutes, it's the regrouping when you get back. And so I said, no, I can't. Why can't you stop?
Yeah.
On your way, you're going to the gym anyway. And I said, find you a handicap parking place at Walmart. It's right inside the door.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
he did. And so I thought, why didn't I do this a long time ago?
yeah, right. Well, because you're probably used to kind of taking care of the man. And
Yeah.
of course, most men will let you, right? You know. After 62 years, I would say you know him by now, and he probably knows you by now. That's a
Exactly.
long time.
But I just want to assure you guys that I got married when I was 2.
Yeah, right? Yeah, right. I love it. Okay, guys. Well, we're going to get underway. Um, I am going to grab actually my presenter notes and um, if you are opened in your notes, we are on building leaders one at a time, session 6. And I really love this session because this is something that I personally do all the time. Okay, so I think the other thing that I want to make sure is that you guys know, just because we end here with the DRA, we have a monthly call that you are lifetime included in. And you can always reach out to Megan and I for, some quick coaching. And Marlene, I still owe you. We still need to work out a time. Maybe we can do that over the holiday here at some point when you're a little more free. Um, so let me go ahead and pull up these slides. Whoops. Let me make sure I can. Okay, go.
We're going to pull a card before we start.
Well, you want to pull a card? We can do that. Let's do that.
Very
Okay.
pleased and thank you.
Yeah. All right, you guys. Let's do a quick little shuffle. And here we go. Woo. All right. Well, this is a good card always. Acceptance is my first step to freedom. Acceptance is my first step to freedom. When I live my life in acceptance, it doesn't mean that I give in or give up. It means I see people and places and things for what they are. The more information I have will guide me to the next steps. A wise person once said, when people show you who they are, believe them. Flip the switch and leave the fight and accept people, places, and things for what they are. Embrace a healthy spirit of acceptance. I don't know how this speaks to you guys, but I'll say one thing and then I'll certainly open it up for anything. But one thing I will tell you is I think, again, this is sort of personal, not business, but I was in a lack of acceptance about my ex-husband for years. I always thought, I saw something in him that he really portrayed once in a blue moon, and I kind of just fought for that person. Does that make sense? But the problem wasn't really him. I mean, I might have had a problem with some of those things, but the problem was really me, because I wasn't accepting him, just right where he was. So, how does that speak to you guys? You feel the same or similar or yeah, Marlene. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you guys, if you stop and think about it, when we aren't in acceptance of things, we're fighting it. We're in resistance. And it really ultimately blocks you from the sunlight of the spirit, if you think about it, right? It's a block. It's like there's something in between where if we just kind of relax into it and realize, you know what, I'm just gonna just believe them when they show me who they are. I'm just gonna accept the situation. It doesn't mean I have to agree. I'm just not fighting it. It tends to flow. Things open up more. The fight stops and more choices and opportunities come to me, you know? So, all right. Yay, yay. Okay, guys, well, here we go. We'll share the screen and we are going to be, let me get in here, presenter. Okay, so guys, we've gone through making coaching a priority. We talked about partnering with the right people, got a little more skilled on the art of asking questions, went through the exact elements of an effective coaching call, we learned how to ignite urgency and accountability. And this week, we're going to be learning how to build leaders one at a time, taking them through the ranks. All right. So this is, in my opinion, kind of a rather interesting session because it really has to do, I'm sorry, you guys, I just want to get to this one little part. Okay. All right. So what I want you guys to think about is there is, many different companies with many different compensation plans. But as a leader, we really have to know a compensation plan in order to understand what's required for me and my team members to get to the next rank. Okay. So, again, sometimes I understand comp plans can be very complicated, but the part that shouldn't be as complicated is understanding what the next rank requirement is as far as bodies, people and volume. Okay. So most things have requirements starting at the very first levels of the compensation plan. So we're going to be talking about that as well. So I firmly believe that when you help enough people get what they want, you will get what you want. And when it comes to building leaders in network marketing, in order for me to support them to get to the next level, I typically will have needed to have walked through that. Now, don't mistake, and this is what I want everybody to hear. If I've rank promoted once or twice, I can help the person underneath me get to that next level because I just did that. People think often that the higher you go up a compensation plan, the harder it is. That is not true. The hardest part of a compensation plan is the beginning and the middle. The easiest part of a compensation plan is the higher up you go. Who knows why? Why would I say that? Why would it be easier the higher up you go?
Because you have people between you and the new people that help take up that slack. So it's not as voluminous.
There you go. Yeah, the reason why it should get somewhat easier is because you have other leaders that have promoted and they're now doing their part. It shifts a little bit. It shifts a little bit as you evolve and build leaders where you're going to ultimately spend your time. But if you really look at the big picture, the activities that we do as leaders in network marketing are pretty repetitive, right? Because we should still be operating our personal business, selling whatever our product is, recruiting, bringing new blood and team members into the organization, and working with those people, the coaching. I mean, really, that's it. Now, are there a lot of things that go under the underarching of the things? Yeah. But, I had somebody tell me, well, on Tuesdays is when I make graphics and I do this and I do that. And I said, how many are you recruiting in a month? And they'd kind of stopped a little bit. So they became one of these leaders that went into a little more of a management mode. And we can't really do that. So I want you to think about, if we were looking at building leaders, what would be the reason of why you would really even want to build leaders? And I kind of think that I like to look at a list or build a list. First thing, I want to build leaders, and these aren't really of importance, but it pays me, the leader, to build leaders underneath me because I'm going to rank promote, right? The second reason that I want to build leaders is the increased income potential, right? So as I'm supporting and building and helping these people, my income is increasing. The other thing that happens is their income increases. And so it's like this win-win for both people. Okay. And the other thing is, we often get more perks as we rise up through leadership, don't we? Whether it be recognition, opportunities, like Marlene, the trips, there's, sometimes prizes, rank promotion prizes along the way. Plus, we get this, um, in my opinion, kind of this internal accomplishment that often feels so good, like, wow, I did it, right? We set a goal, we set a deadline, and we achieved it. And that's really, really special.
But
Now,
you also get different association. So you get exposure to the people above you and that you didn't have before.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, they're up there leading, but they're not leading you, they're leading the masses.
Well,
So
and so what that says to me is I'm now exposing myself to higher level leaders, and instead of seeing them from like this section and here they are, now I'm moving up with them, and I get also the benefit of that, right? So there's a lot of different reasons why we would want to build a network marketing team, but those are just a few that I think are really important to remember. And the other thing I want to point out, you guys, there is no compensation plan in network marketing where you can move up on your own. Does that make sense? Like certainly you can have a large customer base in some companies and not build a team and still make money, but that's all about you. I mean, it's all me doing it. I don't mean that from a selfish standpoint. I just mean that's all Joan building a customer base. And if I stop working, that means my customer base could diminish very quickly. In this kind of manner, what's happening is I'm building a residual income. I'm still going to be making money when I'm not, maybe on the clock. Okay. And that residual income, we can leverage our time because we're still making money, 24 hours a day, if you will. All right, let's get into this a little bit further. We already went through that. I'm not going to keep going on to this. All right, so let's talk about your coaching skills. And the other thing, oh, by the way, you guys, I did not really mention, as you do move up the ranks, oftentimes you will have more responsibilities, and you can feel, I know I kind of, depending on where I'm at and with every company, because I'm in my fifth company, there's always a level of discomfort when you're starting out or when you're moving to a new level. Okay, so just keep that in mind as well. All right, so let's talk a little bit more about your coaching skills, and we're going to really focus on one-on-one coaching, group coaching, and blitz coaching, and kind of what are the differences, and then also how you're going to maximize your time in using these different ways of coaching. So I'm trying to find a good place to put my workbook. It's a thick workbook. So, all right. So let's look first at blitz coaching, and really what is blitz coach? Oh, geez, this slide's funky. All right. Well, it's a focus group of 3 to 4 key people who are close to a goal. So, Marlene, you're experiencing this, or you did with your person. Typically in most comp plans, for somebody to reach a goal, it may involve more than one person. So, we got to get on the same page. Okay, blitz coaching is with people or relationships that have already been established. Okay, it's also a rank advancement strategy. Okay, we're going to do a 30-day, a 60-day, a 90-day blitz. In this case, we're going to be talking about a 30-day sprint to the finish line. And how I do that is a series of weekly Zooms, which I usually do one for a month, one per week for those 30 days. Okay. Now, what I want you guys to know is, again, we're going to run through exactly how you would invite to do this, and I'll make sure that I explain all the points to you. So the program that I use to do Blitz coaching is called the 4 Ps. Okay, and we're going to run through that. So the first thing we do, guys, is we partner with key people that are building a business. So I'm going to give you an example. Let's say I look at my compensation plan, and I'm just going to make this just so you guys see it for a minute. But, you know, this is just a little example, but let's say that's me and I need these 4 people, and it can be whatever. But in other words, this would be the core group I'm working with. If one of them's dead in the water, then I'm looking to add another one. Does that make sense? You know, to hit, let's pretend this is the silver rank or something, you know, and the gold rank might have one of these. Okay. You guys with me? Okay. So one of the very first things we have to do is we got to know, so we're aware of what's going on. So I'll give you a really good example. Right now, we're toward the end of December. It would be a good idea to get in my back office and, you know, look at the numbers and see where people are, because sometimes when you're coming close to the end of the month, people don't really realize where they are. They could easily just miss a promotion because they don't realize how close they are. So first thing I do is I start looking around at the builders. Who's building a business and where are they at? And I also look below, like it could be 2 or 3 or 4 levels below me that still count if I'm moving up in the ranks. Does that make sense? All right, so the first of the P's is to partner. The next of the 4 Ps is to plan. And then it's pulse, checking the pulse. And then it's promote. So those are the 4 Ps: partner, plan, pulse, promote. Now let's go through what each one really means. Okay. This is really important, and I've had people do this all wrong, and I'm going to tell you what I mean by that. So when we're partnering with key people in the business, we literally want to pick up the phone and make a personal invite to each person. Okay, so I'm going to just use a couple of you right now. So I might call Marlene, and, you know, now again, remember, I know her. She's on my team. She's already maybe up the ranks a few, or who knows, she could be pretty high. I don't know. But my point is, I'm seeing that she's getting close to the next rank within, you know, 5 grand or 3 grand or something. Okay, you guys have to kind of know if you were to give them a little nudge, you know, and sometimes they know. Sometimes they're like, Joan, I'm going to take a run. But more than not, most people need to know that you see they're ready to move on to the next rank promotion. So it's a personal invite. And it would be something like, hey, Marlene, it's Joan. Listen, I know that you're getting really close to the next rank promotion. I also know that you told me you're going to be in Hawaii till the new year. But come January 1, how would you feel about partnering with me to hit your next rank promotion? You see, that's the invite. Or, you know, I might, you know, compliment her on what I see in her, but it's a personal invite. It is not a text message. It is not a voice message. Okay, this is a personal invite to make the person feel comfortable and like, you know, you actually have a conversation. Now, notice here, partners advanced preparation. So there's an assessment sheet, or I'm sorry, let me back up. Just pretend I didn't say that for a minute. With the people that agree, okay, we're going to help them assess. We're going to be sure they understand the organizational chart and what they need to get to the next rank. And then we identify the gaps. Okay, now you might be like, well, what are the gaps? The gaps are Here's where you closed last month, whether it's going to be probably the organizational volume, the personal volume, right? Here's where you closed last month, and it looks like in order to get to the next rank advancement, we need 4 grand, just pretend. Okay. So the gap would be what? 4 grand, right? That's the gap. So that's how we then create a plan, right? We create a plan based on what they're wanting, where they're going, and where they're currently at. It's like a roadmap. So, what action needs to happen to fill the gaps? Well, typically it's going to be what? There's usually 2 actions. What's it going to be? They're either going to have to blank or both. What do we do?
Recruit and sell.
There you go. We're either going to be needing to sell more and get other people selling more, right? Within those people, or we have to recruit more, and usually it's both. Okay. So by planning, you're going to minimize the month end surprises. So let's say that Marlene, and again, these are just facetious numbers, but let's say that Marlene needs 4 grand and 8 recruits team wide. Okay. And remember, we gave her 4 little persons just for the sake of being, you know. So then we have to go, okay, Marlene herself is going to do blank amount. These people we can count on for blah, blah, blah. So we look at where they've been in the last 90 days and see what we need in order to reach that gap. Does that make sense? But these are all conversations, because the chances with Marlene's promotion, she probably is going to be able to promote someone under her too. That's usually how it works. Okay. So, the other thing too, I don't know. I think Marlene, in your compensation plan, you guys can place people. So that's another thing that I'll discuss in a minute. But the bottom line is we plan. And when it says placement opportunities, this might be where I say to somebody, if you get one, I'll give you one. This kind of thing. Okay. If you get a recruit, I'll give you a recruit. All right. All right. Let's go to the pulse. So, first off, week 1 is typically where we partner on the call, member, and we go through what the expectations are, etc. And I'm going to actually send you guys my 4 Ps. Like, this is sort of an overview. You're going to get in an email. I'm going to have Jane send it out, the 4 Ps, like it's an actual, almost like a guide. Okay. So the second week, we're in what? We're in the planning stage, and we're still moving through, because we know each week the agenda is based on getting to that goal. We're constantly checking the pulse, but the week 3 would be the pulse. Okay, what's going well? What still needs to happen? What's exciting? And then, really, truly, what are some of the challenges that they might be facing? Oh, Joan, it's Christmas. Everyone is saying no. Let's just pretend. Well, guess what? Then what do I need to do? I need to help come up with an idea. Oh, God. Where we get our creative brains going. I don't know what's the matter. I'm just like, whoo. And I've even walked. But anyway, we get our creative brains going, right? And then we begin, to come up with some ideas to get people over the fence, to sell more, whatever it is. Okay. And week 4, or the fourth one, is to promote. Okay. So, at the beginning, they're claiming their goals. At the end, they're celebrating a promotion. And when you break it down week by week and people agree to accountability, you're going to find that it is a lot more effective than if you try and just say, okay, get to your next rank, and you're not all together. Because remember, on these weekly calls, momentum and excitement is created, right? Okay. All right. So now we're going through the actual call. All right, so the leader draws on the coaching skills to facilitate the discussion. So this is call one. The leader briefly celebrates each person. I'm happy to have Laureen, Marlene, and Angie here, and Lori. Thank you guys all, everyone here. And then we're going to have them claim a goal with an I am statement and state the specific gap and what it will take. So it would be like this. And I'll just again give you some facetious titles, but I'd say something like, I'm Lorraine, and my goal is to reach the director rank this month, and the gap is $6,000. Which means I have Karen and Susie Q here, and they're aiming for blank. So we can account for them for this amount and me for this amount. Okay? So when we claim it with the I am, what are we doing? We're bringing it to fruition into our current, we're bringing the fourth dimension. Oh, I shouldn't even say it like that. We're bringing from what our desires are into our reality, claiming it done. Okay. All right. The leader guides each person to commit to specific actions. So when we leave that call one, I might say something like, all right, Lorraine knows that she's going to increase her reach outs, to sell blank amount and blah, blah, blah. And Lorraine, what are the specific actions you're going to take? That might be how I get Lorraine to tell me what she's going to do. Okay? All right, let's look at call two because they're very similar, all the calls. So we revisit the plan, and then each person shares an update with the group. So we go around the room on that Zoom call and we say, all right, what was your win this week? What is still needed? So people start closing in on the gap pretty quickly, and then we just keep our foot on the gas the entire month. And the leader is on the call to support, the invitees, the participants, right? To support them to work through any of the challenges that they're having. Okay. Call three, this is where each person shares an update with the group. Again, same thing, right? So they're still claiming their rank at the beginning. They're now really more confident. At first, when they claim a rank that they aren't at yet, in the beginning, they're like, I am director. And then by now, they're like, I am director. You know what I mean? And they're seeing the results. Okay. At this point in call three, guys, how much time do we have left before the end of the month? Who knows? Oh, Lorraine, you're on mute.
We should have a week.
You should have a week or maybe a little over a week, depending on where the call falls. But you're right. There's one full week for sure we know of. But here's the deal. At this point, this is where we all have to be on the same page. This is where if I have a placement suite, I'm starting to determine who I'm going to give my recruits to and how that's going to work. Okay? Where I'm going to place my recruits rather. So, again, we're coming together on the common goal and basically stating, it's Marlene, or I'll use myself. It's Joan. My rank is director. Right now, I've got 2,400 in with a gap of still needing 3K to close the month. Feeling really good because Angie's on it, Laureen's on it, Lori's on it, all my team members are on it. So I know approximately what I can count on from them. All right. So call four, each person shares an update with the group again. What was my win this week? So now we're closing in on this gap big time and we're going to celebrate, the success. Now, often, if I've got people that are really running, often I will do something additional from whatever the company offers. I might, you know, offer them, God, some kind of gift or something. So just keep that in mind. All right. So now you guys know about blitz coaching to a rank advancement. All right. What I want to talk now about is really the next phase. Just a second here. Okay. So I want to just make sure that we all kind of know that, often in a business like this, it's hard to balance our time between what we feel is important in working or working with our team members, partnership with our team members, and keeping our own personal business going. Has anybody here had a challenge with that ever where it just feels like it's a lot? Anyone? Probably at times.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
so
I'm juggling between taking care of the babies and filling in. And now that he's not napping at specific times,
it's hard, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah.
yes. I
Yeah.
like the challenge because then I can share that with other grandmas that are taking or other moms that are stay-at-home moms.
Yeah. Yeah. But it is, this is the thing is it is challenging. So what I want to encourage you guys to do is, be in awareness of how you're spending your time as you're growing your team because you can't take your foot off the gas and not lead by example with having a personal business. The higher you go up, it doesn't mean that you're still going to be the number one salesperson, for example. Okay? I would not think that, but I would think that you still want to recruit, you still want to sell and work with your team. Those three things. And you have to find your balance as well. So just keeping in mind that as you continue to develop leaders, you'll get better and better and better at it. So these are things we call the resolution. So what I think, hang on, here we go. Where's Megan? Okay. What is so important is to have goal-oriented decisions to doing something differently. I think there's a whole lot of time where, um, you know, we don't really understand that what we're doing maybe is not a money-making activity or it's not really, falling into um, something that's profitable for us in a business. And sometimes what is our habit? It's, we're focused maybe on the behavior and that tendency or to practice. And I want you to think about that. Um, just consider the differences between, oh, here's Tanya, just a second. Consider the differences between these two. So I've made a decision to do something differently, or I've I'm focused on a tendency, a behavior, or a practice. You see, there's quite a difference in that. And um, in my opinion, again, both are helpful, but they're very different, right? Okay. Let's see here. So we don't want to make resolutions. We want to create daily habits. And the daily habits are the things that are going to move you forward, just continuing to do those things over and over again. The other thing that I think some of these things are very simple and yet they're not done. Leaders get kind of bored or they forget sometimes where they came from and it's now become second nature to them. And then sometimes they don't train it as well as they did in the beginning because they're just like, oh, they should get this. Well, you got to always remember every single day, new people are coming into your team, right? So this is where we want to have tools in place. So I want to look at the 10 habits, and we'll move through these fairly quickly, that will build more leaders. First thing is you got to use a planning tool, okay? Planning tool is your schedule. I don't care if it's written in a Franklin Covey, if it's on your computer, or if it's on your phone, or both. But you've got to use it. If you want to be a leader that knows how to maximize her time and not waste time, you've got to be scheduled. Okay. Hi, Tanya. Good to see you. Okay. The next habit, and we already talked a little bit about this, is the recruiting habit, right? There is no way that anybody is going to move up the comp plan without recruiting. So great leaders don't just build a team, they also partner with their team, right? They partner with their team. And when they do recruit, what do? They work with that team member, um, and that team member follows their lead. So it's really important that you know how to do the business basics so that you can support people when they get stuck. If your team isn't recruiting, the first thing I'll do is go, am I recruiting? Because what I notice is I'm the one, you guys are the ones that creates the momentum and that people feel your momentum or the lack thereof. Okay? Habit number 3, follow a communication plan. Now, coaching is just one of the many ways that you're going to connect with your people. But I want to know, do you have with your team members a systematic approach to communicate with them? And what it might look like, again, I'll just give you a few ideas, is, you know, the one to many might be where you're communicating with them in a Facebook chat or in a Facebook group. Okay. This might be your whole team. Other ways of communication are through individual text messaging or voice messaging. Some of you might have automations in place to message your team. Others of you, you might be holding meetings or doing certain things on the weekly that you're driving people to and communicating to. So if you think about it, during a week's time, let's say that you're promoting your convention that's 90 days down the road. During the week's time, you should think about how many different ways are you touching your team members to make sure that they feel invited and included. Does that make sense? Right? As far as communication? Okay. All right. Habit number 4, study the numbers consistently. Study the numbers consistently. What does that mean? That means you want to know where your team members are at. So why? Why would you want to know where they're at? Anyone?
You can't support them if you don't know where they're
There you
at and how to
go.
support them.
There you go. You can't support them. You also want to look for patterns in their performance. If you go back and look at anyone for the past 90 days in your organization, that should tell you everything you need to know. You know, it'll tell you, are they recruiting? Are they selling? Are they inconsistent? Are they more consistent? I mean, I've even went back and seen people where it's like, wow, they were doing really great and then boom, and I'm just using this as an example, maybe they went through a crisis of some sort, but you see the boom. Do you see what I mean? So remember, you guys, study the numbers because the numbers don't lie. They don't have emotion. They're just going to reveal what you need to know. Okay. All right. Habit number 5 is courageously ask questions. So I want you again to always go back to that sheet that we gave you that has all of the, how to get to someone's why, how to hold them accountable, how to draw out more of their dreams and goals. There's that list of 10 categories with 10 questions each. Have those out and don't be afraid to ask the next question with your team members. Okay? It's so, so important that people hold a weekly meeting. Now, if you've only got a couple team members, then, you know, at the very beginning, maybe you're going to be going to the meeting of your leader. Okay. And that's what you promote. But as you start growing and you start working with people, you may decide that you're going to have your own meetings. Okay. So keep in mind that you want to just be really aware of why am I having a weekly meeting? Why would that be important? Who can tell me?
To show consistency again.
Okay?
Of
Excellent. Consistency. What else?
And to prevent stalls from continuing any further than they've already
Yeah.
occurred.
Yeah.
So let's move things forward.
Right. So there's a lot of reasons why we're going to hold consistent meeting, even just one a week, for example. But the reason why is because we want to remember we're going to only be working closely with the builders and the brand new people. So we want to provide a community where everybody can go. Because I have a lot of people that will attend my meetings that don't do a lot, but they like the community. The other thing is you're going to be constantly putting their skills, I'm sorry, training the skills that you want them to learn over and over again. It's a great place to keep them in the know about company announcements, team announcements. It's also a wonderful place to highlight people and recognize people. And that kind of stuff is contagious. So if you feel disconnected from your team, I want you to think about, am I hosting something that's on a consistent basis? A Zoom meeting, I don't know. Some people do in person. I don't think that's as much the way it goes nowadays. But what are you doing consistently to include one to many? All right, hire a coach. All right, that's so important. I know I've done that from the very beginning. The coach can push you further along than you will push yourself. Coach will also see blind spots. There's many reasons to hire a coach. It's also important that, um, you know, people understand, in my opinion, that the coach is there to support you to what? To get from where you are to where you want to be.
We
And
did.
what's that?
I said we did.
You did hire a coach, right? No, I get it.
Two of them.
Two, yeah, you got a twofer. A twofer. All right. And habit number 8 is to coach yourself. Sometimes that can be kind of hard. Even when you're being coached, I do little things with my own self, small rewards, especially things that I don't necessarily want to do. I'll say, if I do this, you get to have that kind of stuff. Okay. So think about all of the different things that you can really utilize when you're partnered with a coach, whether it be learning from their experience, whether it be training, or just that accountability and that action to move yourself forward. I definitely think for me, really increase my self-awareness and my blind spots, because you can't always see some of the things that are getting in your way. All right. Habit number 9 is journal. You guys, I'm a big journaler. I like to keep notes and, just what went well, what did I learn and what will be different next time? Okay. And making those continual improvements. And habit number 10 that will help build more leaders is radiating happiness. Really excited and joyful to help people to the next level. I know we're coming right here up on time, but I am gonna let Megan talk just a minute here at the end, but she will tell you that we hear so many people over and over again, you guys, that um they don't work with their people. Literally, we had one person tell us they never even got on a call with their leader ever, and they'd worked with her for like years. I'm like, what? You know, so part of that connection is so important because if people don't feel like you have their back, you're going to lose them at some level, right? I mean, they're going to go where they're feeling more supported. So if your retention is down and your people are dropping like flies, you've got to look at, what are some of the things I'm doing or not doing that could be affecting that. But let me just tell you, radiating happiness is huge because people are drawn to people that make them feel good. All right. You become what you focus on. And I think that kind of goes without saying. So, guys, I'm going to bring Megan back on. Oh, this is I love this little picture. This is my little granddaughter. Well, if I can back it up a minute. I don't know why, but that's my little granddaughter. Um, and me. One of the greatest values of a mentor is the ability to see ahead what others cannot and to help them navigate a course to their destination. And that, you guys, truly wraps up this entire course. It's that partnership and helping someone else see what they can't see beyond what they're challenged with, see beyond what the limiting beliefs that they're putting there, but helping them strategize and navigate to their destination. So, Megs, I will bring you on. Oh, where'd she go? She must have packed or I don't know where she went. Okay. So, guys, here's what we have done. This isn't our last time together. So make sure you mark your calendars because we have added a coaching call for this group. January 14th at 12 Pacific Standard Time. January 14th at 12 Pacific Standard Time. And Megan's request is make sure you log in during the holidays and work on your social media system if you are looking to grow with Reels. Okay. All right. Okay, you guys. Well, you know what? I'm not very good at, I'm not gonna say like, oh, this has been fun. I don't like those kind of calls. So I'm just looking forward to each one of you having a very beautiful, Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And just what else can we do for you guys? Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Oh.
What day is the monthly calls? Are the monthly calls?
Oh yeah. So the monthly call is December 7th. They're usually Wednesdays. And I believe it's scheduled for 10 a.m.
10
First
a.m.
Monday of the month.
10 a.m. Mountain
Oh,
or
10 a.m. I'm sorry, Mountain. Yeah, that's 9 a.m. Pacific.
You mean January 7th?
Yes. The first Wednesday of each month
Oh, okay.
is when we do it. But you guys will get emails and reminders too. Yeah.
Okay.
And anyone else before we wrap her up today? I'm wrapping, I'm doing some Christmas presents for my brothers and sisters.
Aw.
I
That's
know. Well, I just decided to, because we're all older and I have, like we took this picture together and I'm like, well, don't they maybe want a framed picture of their sibs? Because
yeah.
we just said no gifts, or you know what I mean? But then I just thought, just a little something. So, yeah. All right, you guys, let me stop this here. Oh, go ahead, Tanya.
I would like to thank you and Megan so very much for all of
Hmm.
your time and effort and just the extra time that you put in beyond these calls and stuff too. So thank you so much. It's really helped me, and I'm sure it's helped so many others in their businesses as well. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Very welcome. All right, you guys. Well, listen, I am around this holiday season, and if anybody needs anything, please reach out to me. Marlene, I know, like I said, reach out again. We'll try and get on that calendar. Yeah, the evenings are a little tough. Like this week, I have something Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, all nights. Can you imagine? I should be so lucky, right?
You are so lucky and you are so loved. Thank you so much. Yes.
Thank you guys. Okay, well, I will talk to you this week, hopefully, and have a beautiful holiday if I don't. Okay, bye, guys. Love you.
Bye. Thank you so much.